In this episode, we'll show you how we made our kitchen cabinets. We actually recycled old oak tables for the countertops, and we have these really stylish locks to keep everything closed and secure while we're driving. We started off by measuring the size of our sink cabinet by placing the jerry cans in position. Then we cut the bottom piece to size. The sink cabinet is the only one that has a bottom piece because we wanted a little bit extra to attach these water jugs to. We're cutting two side panels and a back panel. The front will be covered by the doors. We're using slats and drilling pocket holes in them to connect everything together. For making it easier to attach the slats and to keep them at a 90-degree angle, we're using these angle clamps, which are really easy to work with. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to pick some up. After all the slats are attached to one side panel of the cabinet, we can attach the bottom piece and then the other side panel. We are countersinking and pre-drilling holes before putting in the screws. This way we can fill these holes later on and hide the screws for a cleaner finish. Once the cabinet was put together, we sanded it down and it got painted. So for the worktop of the kitchen, we'll be using this oak here, and this is actually recycled oak. So this is the top of a little table, and I have two of those. One was a bigger table, one was a smaller one, so they form a set, and that should be enough wood to get the kitchen table, the kitchen top, and also the top where the sink comes. As you can see, this already has a varnish on it, but I don't really like it, and there's some dents in here and everything. Instead of just sanding it, which would be a lot of work and might not even work to get all of this varnish off, what we're going to do is with a self-made jig, we're going to scrape it off using a router, and that will give us the clear wood again. As you can see here, we already did this one. Obviously this is still pretty rough, so after that we'll sand it down, going from a stronger grit to a softer grit to make it soft again, and then put another clear varnish on it. Yeah, hopefully we then get a nice oak kitchen top. And it's a very easy way, or very cheap way, to use quality wood like oak here, because you can get these kind of second-hand used tabletops, used tables for almost nothing, for 20 euros. This is the setup we were working with. So two rails clamped to the workbench on the side of the workpiece. These are for the jig to slide on, and then the actual jig itself where the router slides across the workpiece. This was a very long and loud and very dusty process, so I can advise you to wear hearing protection, a dust mask, and even goggles. Even though this is a very cheap way to get some nice wood in your van, you'll definitely have to account for some time. This is quite a long process, so not very interesting if you are in a time crunch. This is what the piece looked like after we finished with the router. As you can see, it's not very smooth, but that's where the sanding comes in. And this is what the final result looks like after sanding and a few coats of clear water-based varnish. Next up, we're making the kitchen cabinet, and it's actually very similar to how we made the sink cabinet, but without a bottom piece and without a back piece. We don't need them, and it saves a lot of weight. After ripping all the wood, we end up with our side panels and a lot of slats that will keep everything together. Again, we're using pocket holes to attach all of these pieces. And I'll leave a link in the description for a pocket hole jig. It's a really handy tool to make solid connections. All the slats get attached to one of the side panels, again using the angle clamps or corner clamps to make things easier and keep everything at a 90-degree angle. Once all of the slats are attached, I'm putting the other side panel on top. With the angle clamps, I'm keeping everything in place so I can screw it all together. There you go, that's another cabinet finished. Next up are the drawers. Every drawer is built from 4 panels that each have a groove in them, and this groove carries the bottom piece of the drawer. You cut the panels to size and then use a router to make that groove. I'm putting regular wood glue on the side of the panel. Then I'm clamping it at a 90-degree angle to another panel, making sure both panels are nice and flush. With the nail gun, I'm attaching both panels together. And then you basically do the same thing again until you end up with a U-shaped piece. Once you have that, you can put wood glue in the groove and spread it out nicely. The bottom piece then slides into the groove. finish the drawer, I'm putting in the last panel and nailing it to the other panels. And that's it. I did the same thing for every drawer, just with different sized panels to get the required size drawer. Okay, last thing on this cabinet build, and that is the locks. For all the doors in our van, we are using these Everlock Locks. They are a German company and they were so kind to send us these for our van build. I'll leave a link in the description to their website so you can check them out if you're interested. First, I measured the middle of the drawer and placed the lock. I then marked the screw holes with a pencil. Then I used the template provided by Everlock to figure out where the hole should come. I clamped down the drawer and put a sacrificial piece underneath. Using a 30mm Forstner bit, I then drilled the hole. Everlock also sells these nice aluminium covers in a bunch of different colors. If you have these, you basically just have to put them in the hole. After that, I screwed the lock back into place. Next up is installing the stop or the counter part of the lock. I measured the middle of the cabinet and used the Everlock template to figure out where the screws come. Then I screwed the stop piece into place. And that's it, the lock is installed and the drawer is finished. In the next episode, we'll show you how we made these upper cabinets with sliding doors and a locking mechanism. See you in the next one.